What's up, maniacs? My name is Mex. I'm a wrestling fan, a wrestling enthusiast, a WrestleManiac if you will. And today we are discussing Smackdown. And I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't find it the most interesting of shows, but we got the debut, the in-ring-ish debut of Retribution, the faction that caused chaos on Raw a couple of days earlier. So I have a lot to say about this faction, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Right here at WrestleManiac UK, I discuss everything that is WWE and AEW. So if this sounds like the place for you, make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you also click the notification bell so that you get notified every time I drop a new video. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into the review. So we're gonna start from the Retribution section in like the main event segment. We had Heavy Machinery taking on Miz and Morrison. Sonya Deville was ringside and Mandy Rose came down, started scrapping Sonya Deville. They both went for it, rolled into the ring, and the referee ruled it a non-contest. Arguments continued between Sonya and Mandy backstage, along with Miz and Morrison and Heavy Machinery. All of a sudden, the lights began to flicker. We were taken back to ringside, where all of a sudden Michael Cole was startled. The 5 figures of Retribution ran into the performance center and literally just started destroying things. They had bats and other kind of tools that they were wielding, chasing off Corey Graves and Michael Cole. They then started destroying around the ringside area. They even chased off fans in attendance and were fighting production staff that were around the ring as well. They went on to start smashing up the ring, brought out spray paint, started spraying on the ring and the apron. 2 of the members turned over the commentary table, and all of a sudden one of them picked up a chainsaw and started sawing the ropes. And very much like they were on Raw after they destroyed that big electrical box thing, they were cheering, greeting one another, very happy and celebratory when they destroyed all of these things. So that was Retribution, and the show kind of ended there. Right, so in terms of Retribution, I don't believe the 5 characters we are going to see once they reveal themselves is going to be the people that we are currently seeing do all of this stuff. Everyone in Retribution right now looks a bit scrawny and small. I think they're purposely wearing like baggy clothes to make sure they can't be identified by us, the fans, because obviously we're all trying to think right now, who are these people? I'm going to get onto that shortly. But if I'm being completely honest, these just look like maybe 5 teenagers, if that maybe, that are being told to dress up and go and cause this destruction. And when they eventually debut, it's gonna be 5 different people. It surely has to be. It seems like 2 of the people in Retribution are women. I definitely read a month ago or so that Vanessa Bourne was called up to the main roster maybe in January or February this year, and we haven't seen her yet. So Vanessa Bourne could potentially be one of these people. Another person I've got in mind is Chelsea Green, because she left NXT when she left the Robert Stone brand, and again we haven't seen her since. Now, I don't think this will fit Chelsea Green's character at all, but here we are, I guess, eagerly anticipating the reveal of this. People that have been rumoured to be in this as well is Tommaso Ciampa, which I hope he isn't, because right now they're not impressing me with what they're doing with Retribution, and I don't want Ciampa to fall into this faction unless he's leading it and takes it a different direction once unveiled. But this isn't for Ciampa, hopefully. Quite honestly, I hope this is an extension of the Smackdown hacker thing. I don't know if you guys remember last week during the Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose segment, the screen was doing the fuzzy, hacker thing where, it was cutting in between things. Like, it was doing something funny, the screen anyway. So I hope this is something to do with the hacker. Retribution as a name, it's like they're getting revenge for something. But even the people that I've mentioned, Vanessa Bourne, Chelsea Green, which I think could be included in this group, why do they need Retribution? Nothing makes sense right now, especially when they're destroying things and celebrating. It's like Nexus-ish, but they're happy that they're doing something bad. It's really weird. I haven't bought into Retribution just yet. Guys, put down below in the comments any names that you think or you may have heard could be part of this group. But yeah, to be honest, that was the most interesting and topic worthy part of Smackdown. The rest of the show wasn't great, so I'm gonna run through the rest of the results right now. But before I do so, guys, if you're enjoying this review so far, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button and give me a like. I'll thoroughly appreciate it, and it does wonders for the channel. So as advertised before the show, we got Matt Riddle versus Sheamus Sheamus in what was turning out to be a really good match, a really hard-hitting match, obviously both men involved, and really good athleticism being shown by Matt Riddle, which we know he has in his locker. 1 minute when you thought someone was taking the upper hand, it was then the other person taking the upper hand, and it was really back and forth. It was so competitive, a really good match. However, we didn't get a decisive winner because Chad Gable, Shorty G came out and laid an attack on Matt Riddle. Now, it was just a little attack because Matt Riddle really beat him up afterwards. But obviously the match ended in a disqualification, and even being a heel, Sheamus wasn't happy. Sheamus wanted a definitive win over Matt Riddle, and I think we all wanted a definitive win. It was a bit of a cop-out of a finish, if I'm completely honest. It will go down that Matt Riddle won it on disqualification, but to be honest, neither man wanted that result. Backstage, Sheamus had words with King Corbin telling him, don't get Chad Gable, Shorty G involved in my matches in regard to your King's ransom. I wanted to finish my match. They had a bit of a to and fro, and you could tell that it wasn't done there for the night in regards to those two anyway. We had Cesaro taking on Lince Dorado. I guess this was a bit of leftovers from their Champions Lounge segment last week where Lince Dorado and Gran Metalik tried to join Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro in the Champions Lounge. It was a bit of a nothing match because we knew Cesaro was going to win. Cesaro really dominant here, and yeah, he picked up the win. The next match on the card was Jeff Hardy versus King Corbin. Very much again, both men going at it, a really good and interesting match until Sheamus came out. I think he bro kicked Jeff Hardy, so effectively King Corbin got disqualified and Jeff Hardy was named the winner of the match. King Corbin and Sheamus then went, face to face. You ruined my match, so I'm gonna ruin yours. And then Sheamus and King Corbin had a match. Sheamus and King Corbin's match was pretty bog standard, nothing to scream about. But the distraction finishes didn't end there. Matt Riddle came out. I think he just jumped into the ring. He didn't really do much. King Corbin got distracted. Sheamus hit him with a bro kick and got the pin. So something is going to happen maybe between these 3-4 competitors, Matt Riddle, Sheamus, King Corbin, and maybe Shorty G if he gets involved. Who knows? But yeah, just the lack of finishes in this show amongst these segments just was poor, really. It just didn't really leave a good taste in my mouth for the show. We had a backstage segment where Bayley was really upset looking, and Sasha went to her and was like, what's the matter? And she was like, obviously she has to take on Asuka next week on Raw, and she would have wished that Sasha confronted her and told her about this plan before Sasha basically booked her in the match. And I was thinking, what? You have been booking Sasha in matches up until maybe the last month or so. You were always throwing Sasha into matches, and now you're sad because Sasha done the same to you? I couldn't believe Bayley was genuinely sad at that. But Sasha G'd her up and told her, look, you can do it. I wouldn't have put you in a situation if I didn't think you would win. So yeah, they were discussing that when maybe a TV backstage person came over to them both and said, look, you guys need to go to the ring. You've got a conference call with Stephanie McMahon. So the Golden Role Models were now in the ring, and Stephanie came on the Titron congratulating them for all of their accolades, but basically was telling them, look, we're gonna have to start setting up some SummerSlam matches. Sasha, obviously you've put Bayley in this situation, so if Asuka does beat Bayley, it might be Sasha Banks Asuka at SummerSlam. And then she told Bayley, listen, you've got enemies across all of the WWE brands, NXT, Raw, SmackDown. So what we're going to do is next week, we are going to have a #1 contenders battle royal from women from all 3 WWE brands. The winner will take on Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Now that is the only thing I think we can look forward to next week. That is the only thing coming out of this show that I've been like, okay, that's gonna be interesting. And to be honest, I haven't minded having Stephanie on TV in this capacity in recent weeks. I think they were doing it to take a bit of a jab at AEW. Obviously, Stephanie is the chief brand officer at WWE, and if you've been watching what's been happening at AEW in the last couple of days with Brandy Rhodes and Cody, I think this was a bit of an indirect jab putting Stephanie on TV with her big chief brand officer Stephanie McMahon on her title. And then we had the tag team match, Heavy Machinery versus Miz and Morrison. And it's been a long time since we've seen Otis with that Money in the Bank briefcase. It reminded me that he is, the briefcase holder. And it's just like, he's so much on the back burner. Like, I don't need him running out every second looking like he's about to cash in on Braun or someone, but he's just really an afterthought at this stage. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with Otis and this briefcase. I think he probably does have to cash it in sooner rather than later, but it can't be for the Universal Championship, because even him as a character, he's gone a bit cold. He's not as hot as he was when he won it. So yeah, maybe they cash it in for the tag team championships or something. Just something different with the briefcase. Again, this match was all right. It was going well. I mean, it was good to see Heavy Machinery back in the ring and having matches. We've had a lot of comedy segments and stuff from them in recent times, so it was good to see them wrestle again. I quite like Heavy Machinery. And Miz and Morrison were just all right. It was nothing special. Like I said, Mandy Rose came down and we got a non-finish to this match. So yeah guys, to be honest, a really underwhelming episode of SmackDown with all the non-finishes or the disqualification finishes. It really wasn't worth watching, and I rarely say that about wrestling. There's always something, at least one thing you can get from the show. I just think everything was executed really poor and in a lazy fashion. Retribution, I'm not sold. We're gonna wait and see how this turns out, and that probably was the biggest talking point coming out of the show. However, if you did enjoy today's review, please leave a like, leave me a thumbs up. It's much appreciated. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time I drop a new video. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I will see you soon.